Alrighty, what is up, guys? Guys, I'm so excited to get to speak to y'all tonight. It's always my favorite thing to get to hang out with Barmy Youth, but not only I get to speak and share with y'all tonight. So tonight we're jumping into our second part of champions. How many of you would call yourself a champion? You say, I've won some things. Okay. How many of you say, I don't think I've ever won anything in my life? I don't think I've ever. Okay. Well, hey, tonight we're going to convince you. I'm going to show you some biblical examples and some worldly examples of how no matter what you think, you already are a champion. And so right off the bat, we're going to jump into kind of this part about teams. How many of you have been involved with a team? You've been in a team, okay? Everybody has at some point. You've been in a school team, maybe a sports team, maybe even a video game team. Whatever it may be, you've been on some sort of team where you've had to work together in order to achieve a goal, right? How many of you rather would do it solo? How many of you rather do it solo? How many of you would much rather be on a team? Okay, I learned over COVID, much rather have a team. I was playing Fortnite with some of you guys and some other video games over COVID, and I was terrible. I'm awful. I'm terrible at it. I've lost it. I got bad at video games after Lego Star Wars, okay? So now it's here, and you guys are I'm just following. In Fortnite or games like that where I got to follow, I'm yeah, guys, yeah. I'm just agreeing and just following. That's all I do, right? And so I just kind of want to illustrate some people today of good and bad teammates, okay? So we got this first picture. How many of you agree? Okay, Michael Jordan, right? You're all familiar with that? I would say he kind of falls somewhere in the middle, right? How many of you say he's a great team member? He's a great team member. How many of you say he's a bad team member? Okay, yeah, I would agree with both sides. The reason why is because he only succeeded when he had a great team around him, right? But also, that team might not have succeeded as well if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. We got another one. What's our next picture we got up here? We got Russ. He's a bad team member, a bad friend. He's always drama, always about him, self-absorbed. Okay, the next one. What do we got? Toby. Everybody hates Toby. No, that's not even a team member. It doesn't matter. Whatever's going on, Toby stinks. All right, next one. What do we got? All right, this guy. See, some of y'all are clapping, and I've got a bone to pick. The dude had one job. One job was to take the glove off, right? That's all he had to do, or distract, whatever it was. And homeboy had his heart broken, he was worried about Bay, just would have paused for a moment. He slapped the dude, and now everybody died, right? Did y'all know, this is real, did y'all know that the real life actor, Chris Pratt, got actual death threats after the movie? I'm like, what? That doesn't make it. Somebody was like, I'm so mad at him. I gotta send him a death threat. They were gonna rewrite the movie. Hey guys, we're sorry. Bring it back. Rewrite. No, that's how the movie was written. He's an actor, right? But people literally would give him death threats. All right, next one. What do we got? All right, okay. Right? Okay, look, there's two sides of the JB, okay? One side we've got of baby, and everybody's no, we don't want him on our team. But then you got all of his news, you're oh yeah, JB, everybody, you all secretly like him, don't lie. All right, next one, what do we got? Here we go. Serena Williams, listen, she could serve a tennis ball and kill me, I guarantee it. I'd be standing there and wouldn't know what to do, right? I would go with my racket, it'd go through the racket and through me, right? Like a Mortal Kombat finish. That's what it looked like, right? All right, and the next one, what do we got? This guy. Okay, listen, I can't name, okay, Luigi's, sure, he's great. He breaks up the monotony of always being Mario, but really, in reality, he never saves the princess. It's always Mario, right? He's a good team member, great, because he gets nothing. That's why. He's such a great team member because he takes all the heat. When Mario's tired, Luigi pops in. Does Luigi ever get, no. He's always got these side hustles. He's like a vacuum cleaner on the side, right? The dude's he's struggling to make ends meet. He's got to do separate jobs, right? Next one, what do we got? This guy joins your lobby like a noob, no skin. It's okay. And he's no, guys, it's strategy. I'm doing it so I can, blend in and people want, no, it's not. It's because you're bad at the game. All right, next one. What do we got? Let's see. All right, listen. I'm going to throw some shade. Okay, look. Some of y'all probably wearing Crocs right now. Y'all got the ability to throw it off, okay? You can do it. I cannot. This would be a bad team member for me. My outfit, my wardrobe, I couldn't do it, right? Now, some of y'all, I saw a guy in the hallways, he laced up his Crocs. Explain to me how, it was amazing. I was a hater of Crocs. I saw that, he was laced up. He laced up them holes with laces. I was like, what is that gonna happen? You gonna go into sport mode? Suck those, okay, all right, next one, what do we got? Last one, okay. Some of y'all are like, oh, what is this? What, I don't understand. This for me, yeah, so I thought it was cheese at first. It's tofu, okay? I'm just right now saying, if tofu was a team, I don't know if you people who can eat tofu, congrats. You're a great team member because I cannot consume that. I've had it in bowls before. It doesn't make sense. My body, it just doesn't equate, right? So we have these different examples of good and bad team members, right? When I think about, like, I always relate stuff to stories, right? So me and my brother were always teammates together, okay? And we played this video game right here. I think it's the next one up. We played this video game right here, okay? Now, yeah, so, listen. I have one of them moms. My mom's like the Karen before the Karens, okay? I'm telling you, she made the Karens who they are today, okay? She did a training program. They came in, they learned from my mom, okay? My mom would not allow us to have any kind of like violent games, bloody games, anything like that, right? We were like locked down. Zombies, she gonna come in that room and start praying. She gonna say, name of Jesus. She'll start slapping us across the face. I'm not kidding. One time my brother snuck a zombie game in. I got in trouble. I wasn't even there. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? That's how strict she was. But for some reason, we could sneak Halo Reach in. And so one day we bought it, but we were scared. We were scared because we thought at any moment in time she could bust in the room. You know, when parents just bust in. They don't even say anything. They don't even warn you that, what are you doing? You're like, I don't know. Like, you weren't even doing anything bad, but now you're just doing stuff bad because you're like panicked in fear. You're like hiding stuff. You're pushing things. I wasn't even doing anything bad, but you scared me, right? And so that's why we would always like wait. We'd wait till she was at like a ladies' meeting because those things would last 20 years. We'd wait till she'd go off to coffee or something like that. And so we'd wait, and then we'd play the game. So this sucker was sitting on our like nightstand for 3 days. We're like, no, it's not the time. We know she's got a meeting coming up. We're going to save it. So we were homeschooled, and so we said, you know what? The day before, let's pack 2 school days into one so that we'll have a full capacity just to game out once she's gone, all right? And it was the perfect day. I'm going to paint the picture. It was beautiful. We had an upstairs bedroom, so we knew when Mom was home because the garage door was closed, so we thought it's perfect. We'll stay upstairs. We'll play it up there. We brought snacks up. We brought drinks up. It was raining outside. I'm not kidding. It was perfect. It was cuddly. It was nice. I was excited to just game out all day, right? And so we are waiting. My mom's about to leave at like 12 o'clock. At 11:59, me and my brother like this. We're not even doing school anymore. We're just like looking at each other. The moment she walked over, like, bye, Mom, love you, bam, boom, ran up the stairs, right? We plug in the remotes, we start playing, and man, it's like amazing. I loved playing with my brother. It was always like we always were like the best teammates. I'd always be like the health guy who would repair, or I would be the smaller, faster guy. He would be the big brute guy with the big gun. And so we were always the best combination together. And so our team was always right. Like, we played together. We never argued because we always like just both together great. And then so we're in the house alone. And all of you know, like, when you stay home alone, for the very first few times, we were young. This was like the very first few times that we stayed home alone. And you just always like, don't answer the phone. That was back when home phones were a thing. Don't answer the door, and don't go outside, right? And so those were easy, right? But it still was scary. So me and my brother are playing. We're good like 5 hours in. You got those red eyes. You're zoned in. We're locked into this bad boy, okay? And then, as we're playing, we hear the front door open and someone come in. And I was like, did you just hear the door open? And he says, no. And then, bam, we hear the door slam. And I was like, hold on. The reason why it freaked us out was because my parents never went through the front door. Nobody in my family went through the front door. We had a garage door opener, so we'd hear the garage. The garage would go underneath my bedroom that was on top. So I knew when anybody was home. It'd shake the whole room. So I was like, somebody's home, right? Like, I'd know. And so when we hear the front door open and close, we're like, we're getting robbed. We were like, there's a murderer here. And it was like sketchy, right? This dude's moving fast. We could hear him downstairs. Dude's hustling back and forth. He's like slamming a backpack down. I hear him taking off his shoes, it sounds like. I'm like, what in the world is going on? We start hearing him like clamming and opening doors, shutting and open doors, shutting and open doors. I'm like, dude, it's robbing us clean. So like, I had a bunch of swords and knives in our bedroom. So me and Kyle started pulling those out. In reality, they're probably like this long, but in my mind, I was like sorted up, right? And so we're ready. I grab one of the remotes. I'm like, if he comes to the stairs, we'll throw a remote down, give him a concussion, and then just start shanking him, right? That's what we thought was gonna happen. And so we're ready, right? We're pumped, we're excited, we're like, yeah, but we're also like peeing our pants. I'm scared because there's somebody walking around in our house. And so we were eventually like, okay, he's coming. We hear him closer and closer approaching, and I'm freaking out. Like, because at that point, you're like, yeah, we're going to do this. And now you're at the point like, he's actually here, right? And so he opens the stairwell door at the slowest possible in the world. Like, and I was like, right, we're ready to go, right? And it's one of our friends. I'm like, what in the world? I don't understand. And so I'm like, what are you doing? His name is Christian. We're like, Christian, what are you doing? He's like, I'm supposed to ride the bus to y'all's house this week. Your mom gave me a key because I'm going to stay. And I'm like, Christian, that's next week. And he was like, no, it's this week. It switched. And we're like, okay. And so Christian jumps in. He turns on a remote. And now it's even better because now there's 3 of us playing. We're getting locked in, right? Well, I was right when I said the first time it was next week. So his mom, this was back before cell phones, so we had a home phone. She didn't know where in the world he went. The school bus comes by. He's not there. She calls the school. Oh, no, he left. She calls the bus driver. Oh, I dropped him off. She's losing her mind for like 3 hours. Eventually, she finally gets in contact with my mom, and my mom calls the home phone, and I go over to answer it, and my mom's like, Ryan? And I was like, I thought I was in trouble. I was like, how'd she know? How'd she know we're playing? Like, I don't understand. And she goes, is Christian there? And I was like, oh, yeah, Christian's here. His mom's, and he's like, that's not till next week. Homegirl called the cops. Homegirl called the school. She was losing her mind, right? And in all of that moment, we were gaming out, having the time of our lives. So I think about that story and like how that experience in that moment, maybe you can think about in your life a moment where you had a great time. Maybe it was with friends or team members. And when you take out the friends or the team members, it just isn't as fun. In that moment, it would have been not nearly as exciting. I wouldn't tell the story if it was just me gaming by myself in my bedroom. But the reality of it is I had these friends, I had my brother, and because we were a team, and because we were together, it's so much more memorable. When I think about this, we think about the story, we're going to be jumping into the passage of, we're talking about Moses. So I'm going to jump right in, then we'll explain. So Moses said to the Lord, Lord, I am not a man of words. I have never been. Even now, since you spoke to your servant, I still am not. For I am slow in talking, and it is difficult for me to speak. Then the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Who makes a man not able to speak or hear? Who makes one blind or able to see? Is it not I, the Lord? So go now, and I will be your mouth. I will teach you what to say. But Moses said, oh Lord, I ask of you, send another person. Then the anger of the Lord burned against Moses. He said, is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know he can speak well. Also, he's coming to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You must speak to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be your mouth and his mouth. I will teach you what you are to do. He will speak to the people for you. He will be my mouth. So what happens in this story, in the context of what happens is Moses is born in Israelite slavery. What's going on in this time frame is Egypt has conquered the Israelites, and they are now the slaves of the Egyptian cities. So they're building for them. The Egyptians are laying back, living a nice royal life as the Israelites are in slavery, building their castles, building their temples, building everything they have, growing their crops, taking care of their kids, whatever it may be, so that the Egyptians can live a luxurious life and not have to worry about a single thing. But then what happens is the Israelites begin to overpopulate. And Pharaoh becomes afraid, jealous, and angry, and he makes the decision to kill all the children living at that time frame. So now Pharaoh, in his fear and his anger of the Israelites growing up and conquering him, he says, you know what, I'm going to conquer them before they can even walk. And so what happens is he sends out his soldiers, and they go out and they slaughter every single young child. Blood flowing through the streets. Moses' mother, afraid and terrified of losing her son, she decides to put him in a wicker basket, hoping that maybe he'll flow down the stream and find somebody else that'll take care of him, because she can't stomach the thought of seeing her child killed by an Egyptian soldier. So he flows down the river, and just so happens he passes by Pharaoh's daughter. In this moment, you think, oh, the story's over. Pharaoh's daughter's going to take him out and kill him. But what actually happens is Pharaoh's daughter takes out the son, and she finds compassion on him. She says, man, I want to take care of this boy. I just don't know how. And it just so happens that Moses' sister is sitting in the reeds watching him float down the river. And she says, oh, ma'am, I know someone who can take care of him. I know a woman. And she says, good, go. I will pay her to take care of him and raise him. So now, a moment that looked like turmoil, a moment that looked like destruction, now Moses' mother is now being paid to change his diapers, to take care of his throw up. When he screams and cries, she's getting $40 an hour. It's amazing. She's a part of the royal family. She's raising up now a royal family. Now, Moses grows up. He has a Tarzan moment. He goes, I'm not like everybody else. I don't understand. And so he now looks for his people. He goes, where are my people? Why don't I look like you guys? Why don't I act like you? Why am I not as tall as you? I don't understand. And so he goes and he talks, and he finds out that he's an Israelite. And he seeks mercy on one of his Israelite brothers, and as he sees him being tortured by a Pharaoh slave, and so he goes up and he clobbers him on the side of the head with the rock and kills him, and in fear, he runs away. He's living in the wilderness, and God, and that's where we jump into the story here, is God says, you, Moses, are going to set my people free. And he goes, what? God, I think you messed up. Like, I don't think you understand, God. Like, not only am I not qualified, I am a war criminal. I killed a man. I'm a murderer. They will not even allow me to walk back into the city. He says, no, I'm sending you, Moses. And so in fear and anguish, he goes, well, God, I can't even speak right. And the reality is that Moses could not speak well. He has speech impediment. That means he could not function fully words. He was not the person to publicly speak, to try to convince a Pharaoh to let go of all of his wealth. And so he goes in, and he says, God, I can't do this. I can't do this alone. And so he sends his brother Aaron. And that's who we're going to focus on today, is Aaron. Because Aaron is a great team member. Aaron's just like my brother. He perfectly equals to Moses. They balance each other out. Moses hears from God. Moses is close to God. He tells Aaron what has happened, and Aaron translates for him. And together, they go into Pharaoh's palace, and they say, hey, set my people free. Not even a question, not even asking, not even bargaining, not saying, hey, I'll give you this for this, or I'll give you that for that, or hey, we'll stay for a few months and then we'll clock out. No, he says, hey, give me my people, we're leaving now. And so Pharaoh says, no, not going to happen. And the audacity for them even to ask, Pharaoh could have killed them right there. But what happens is these plagues come, and eventually Pharaoh says, okay, you can have your people, and they go free. And see, it would never have happened if Aaron didn't agree. See, the reason why we fail in life might be because we've been going alone. Moses could have probably gone alone. God would have worked it out. But the beautiful thing about it is that when he was partnered with somebody else, he changed an entire nation. So what can we learn from this story? What makes a bad team member? Number one, the yes friend. The yes friend is a bad team member. See, you probably know somebody in your life that is a yes friend. A lot of celebrities have this, right? They say, hey, do I look good? No, you look terrible, but yes, you look great. You're like, what? No, I don't. In the same way, maybe you've got somebody that says, hey, should we do this bad thing? They say, yeah, let's do it. And you're like, no, we shouldn't, but let's do it. You have that yes person in your life, and the only reason you're friends with them is because you know that, man, if you say anything to them, if you try to convince them to do anything else, they'll be like, yeah, I'm good, let's go, let's do it, yes, yes. And so it ends up becoming what it looks like an awesome friendship, and it feels great, but ultimately will bring you down. You have a friend that says, yes, hey, do I look good in this outfit? And really you don't. Instead, they should say, no, hey, you look inappropriate, you look weird, you look, but instead they say, no, you look good, girl. In that same way, there needs to be a difference in your life. And sometimes when people say no to you, see, we all need that. We're all humans. We all fail. We all make mistakes. And so when there's somebody in our life that says, hey, no, it's not right to cheat on that test right now. It's not right to look at that right now. It's not right to joke about what we're joking about right now. I'm not going to follow the crowd along this. Hey, I love you and I care about you. So I'm going to say, hey, stop. This isn't a yes moment. This is a no moment. Stop fitting in. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to force it because you're not supposed to. No, don't do that. I'm not going to do that. Number two, another example of a bad friend is an enabler. See, an enabler likes the lazy you because it confirms and justifies their laziness. It's just like this. If you're going down, you usually want someone to go down with you. This is the mindset of an enabler. What happens is they go, hey, I'm about to do this bad thing. You want to come? And you're like, no, I do not. I had a friend all the time. He'd be like, hey, I'm going to go kill this snake right now. I'm going to go jump in the snake pit. And I'd be like, no, there's no way, right? He'd be like, no, we got to do it. Dude, like, come on, we got to do it. Like, and we would enable, and I'd have another friend that would enable him, right? They would sit there and go, yeah, dude, we could do it. We could do it together. We could do it together. Boom, boom. And then one of them get bit, one of them get hurt, one of them break their ankle or something bad, right? And so you had somebody there that would enable the bad habits because why? Because they had bad habits themselves. It's just like a drug addict. Somebody's addicted to drugs. What do they hang out with? They hang out with other drug addicts. Why? Because when they're addicted, they want somebody else to go be addicted with them. So a lot of times what happens is we don't connect on positive things with our friends. We connect with negativity. Well, it's the easiest way to become a friend of somebody and go like, dude, I hate that person. Like, me too. Are we friends now? Like, yeah, let's hate that person together. What has happened in that moment? Although it's funny and we've all done it, what's happened in that moment is you've enabled bad character in each other. You said, hey, I agree with what you agree with, and so now we're friends. Hey, you do the same drugs I do, we should hang out. Hey, you cheat on the same tests I'm cheating on, let's help each other. Hey, we're going to go do things after school that we know we shouldn't do, but hey, you're doing it too, right? Okay, I'm down now. And next thing you know, you've got a friendship that's pushing you into places and pushing you into things that you don't want to do. Next thing you know, you look back and you go, why was I there? Why was I doing that? Because I was enabled by somebody else, or I enabled somebody else. Number 3 is the feeder. You think about this. I think about there's a picture of a shark, right? They have these animals that sit on the side of them and feed off of the bacteria or the dead skin. And in this scenario, it's a super healthy thing. But a lot of times, what happens in our life is there's feeders just like that on your life. They come into your life just when they need something, just when they want something. Just in certain seasons. You've probably all experienced that maybe in your friendships where it's like, man, I don't have any other friends, but I'll just hang out with them then. And then you go, what, am I your second choice? But because you want friendship, you say, hey, okay, yeah, let's be friends. And the next thing you know, the next season they're gone. Why? Because they've feeders. They want to just latch on for a moment. Or maybe you yourself are that same way where you'll jump from friend to friend when you act a certain way when you're with your friends at school, and then you'll act a certain way when you're with your friends at youth group because you're bouncing back and forth just starving for something that's good. But the reality is you continue to feed off of leftovers and the things that you'll always be attached to something that's so much greater than you, and you feel incomplete and you feel like you less than. The story of this man named Rube Waddell. There's a picture of him here. He's a baseball player. Now, this dude's like I have mad respect, but also it's ridiculous. This man was in the Major League Baseball League, okay? Like way back in the day. You can tell it's way back in the day. So the dude's getting paid to play baseball. But get this. In one of the games, he left. It was a tied game. He left in the 3rd inning to go fishing. Imagine, let's imagine right now. I was like, hey guys, I'm done. And I walked off and I went and fished. Y'all be like, what? It doesn't make any sense. Imagine if you're in the middle of a basketball championship in a tied game. LeBron James is like, I gotta fish, guys. There's a pond waiting for me. You'd be like, what is wrong with you? You're getting paid millions. I don't understand. This guy is like, you know what? It's about, I gotta fish, and leaves the game, walks off the field. A later game, he saw a bird land, left the game. He was like, I saw that bird land over there. I'm going to go. I'm done. I'm tapping out. Leaves the game. The dude would be known to sit down in the outfield. The man would be known to pick daisies, all that kind of stuff. And then even the crazy thing is he left literally in the middle of a baseball game. He left because he saw a fire truck pass by. A grown man was like, dude, there's a fire? Let's get out of here, bro. Like, dude, we're in the middle of a game. Like, we're about to win. Nah, dude, I got to see a fire. And it takes off, right? You're like, what's your problem? And it's a funny example, but how many times that happen in our own lives that these feeder friends in our lives, they're there for a moment. It's like, oh, dude, we're best friends. This is great. And then, where are you going? Oh, there's a fire truck. What? And they go, oh, hey, dude, we're best friends, right? Yeah, dude, we're best friends. Oh, dude, we're always going to be best friends. Yep. Yep. Hey, where are you going? Oh, I'm just going to go fishing for another friend. What? Doesn't make sense. Oh, I'm kind of bored of this now. I'm going to go look at that dead bird. And next thing you know, you're left without a friend, and you feel like maybe you feel hurt, you feel heartbroken, you feel used. But see, there's hope at the end of all of this. We're going to learn from the example. We want to learn to be just like Aaron. How to be a team member like Aaron. In this story, we see that he doesn't question Moses. He doesn't say, hey, well, if you pay me hourly. We don't see anywhere in Scripture that he begins to bargain with Moses. Say, okay, if I translate for you, you got to come do this. But no, literally all that Aaron is submitting. He says, hey, I'll be the backup, which is our first number one on how to be a good friend. Because the reality of it is that I've given examples of bad friends. Maybe you've been hurt by bad friends. Maybe there's been bad team members in your life, and you just don't feel like a champion anymore because you felt like your team members have left or your friends have left, and you feel like a loser. But the reality is that if we are good friends, we'll attract good friends. Like I just was talking for a moment about the enabler, right? The enabler loves to pull against other people that say, you struggle with the same thing. You struggle with the same things that I struggle with. Let's be friends. Hey, I hate the same person. The same thing happens when you become a good friend. You'll attract good friends. And so we can learn from the story of Aaron is, number one, be the backup friend. What does that mean? See, this friend has your back, is there for the victory royales and the 99th kill. They're in the gulag with you, always there for a revive. They're there to back you up. See, that was my brother. No matter the game, even if you didn't enjoy it, he'd say, hey, I'll play with you. I'm there, I'll play with you. And in life, that's also happened is my brother's been one of my best friends that's always been there. In the same way in your life, you need to have friends and be a friend that says, hey, even though I don't really enjoy the season you're going through right now, I'm not going to dip. Even though I don't enjoy that you're kind of struggling right now, I'm not going to dip because I'm going to point you towards good things. Hey, I know that, man, right now is a tough season in your life, or maybe we aren't able to hang out as much, but I'm still going to text you. I'm still going to shoot you a call because I care about you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to have your back. Because, see, if you want people to have your back, you first have to have theirs. See, Aaron does not even question Moses. He doesn't go, just the audacity of what Moses asks. He goes, hey, you know that Pharaoh guy that hates our guts? Yeah. You know how he killed all our kids? Yeah. You know how he's gonna enslave us for years and years to come? Yeah. You know how if we walk into his palace, he could kill us at any moment in time just because he does that every day? He just spikes somebody, it doesn't matter, right? He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go in and we're gonna yell at him. And Aaron's like, sounds good to me. I'd be like, Moses, what's your problem? He's like, no, God told me. I'd be like, he did not. Let's go. But Aaron's a good friend. He's got Moses' back because he says, you know what? Let's do it. If God spoke it, I know he's going to go with us. So in your same life, will you have your friend's back like that? Will you say, hey, God's called you to be a missionary. God's called you to be in the ministry. God's called you to do this. God's called you to be honest. God's called you to get rid of this addiction. I got your back. I'm here for you. You need somebody to talk to? I got you. That's the reality of what it is. That's the example that we see. You see, Aaron follows Moses into certain death and is unshaken by it. He says, I got you. I got you. Number two is be the tough friend. See, sometimes we love to have the yes friend that says, hey, you look great. You look awesome. Yeah, I'll go with you. Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll do it. But sometimes what we need in our life is a tough friend that says, hey, no, you're better than that. You're stronger than that. See, in the same way, it's like this rubber band. This rubber band by itself, right, does not do much. If I keep it and hold it in my hand here, it's not going to go anywhere, correct? It's going to stay right here. But the reality of it is if I stretch it and I shoot it, what is it? It's going to go. If I pull it back and I'm tough on it, it will stretch and then have the ability to fly, right? And so it'll go. That's the same way we need to be in our life with our friends. Is sometimes we will be stagnant friends that say, hey, I see you struggling, I'm going to sit on the sidelines. No, what you need to do is instead say, hey, I got your back. Let's read our Bible together. Let's do a Bible study together. Hey, I'm going to text you every day and check up on you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to make sure you're honest. I'm going to make sure you're on time. Hey, let's talk. Let's get this out. Let's be tough on each other so that we can propel our lives and not just sit in this. The same way, maybe it's your friendships are the same way. Just like this thing will not do anything unless I twist it. It could sit here for years and years and years and never go off. But the moment that I pull it, it was supposed to explode. But the moment I pull it, the other one went off. I can't believe that. The moment I pull it, it's supposed to explode, right? The moment I applied pressure to it, the moment I was tough with it, the moment I said, hey, you can't just sit here, it's supposed to explode, right? The same way in our own lives. Is that you've seen your friends hurting. And you've seen your friends be depressed and struggle with anxiety, but you sat on the sidelines going you okay? And they go, yeah. And then you're like, okay. And you haven't had the guts to say, hey, no, I know you're not because I care about you. Hey, come on, you can talk to me. You got this. And maybe it takes a little bit of prying, and maybe it's uncomfortable. But just like it's uncomfortable sometimes to pull that rubber band back or set this off, or maybe even something like this. Like if this is not healthy alone. By itself, if I don't do anything with it, if it sits on a desk, it doesn't help anybody. The sanitizer won't clean anything. It won't touch anything. Why? Because it's stuck in the bottle. What it needs is it needs somebody to come over and what? Like squirt it. Almost got you in the face. Right? Like you need somebody to come up and say, hey, I see you struggling, but we can do this together. Let's be accountable to each other. And next thing you know, your life actually fulfills its purpose. Because your life with your friends that tell you, yes, let's go do bad stuff again. Yes, hey, let's talk about the stuff we always talk about. We'll have your life just sitting on the side of the desk, not doing anything. But when you have a friend that's tough with you, that says, hey, let's be better together. Let's do a Bible study. Let's pull each other up. Let's be honest to each other. What happens is you then do what you were designed to do, and you will change the world. Moses, without Aaron, would have sat on the sidelines. But he needed Aaron to say, I got you. Let's do this. Let's fulfill the purpose. And so he fulfilled it. The same way maybe with something like this. If this bottle just by itself is here, it won't do anything. But the moment I begin to shake it up, the moment I say, hey, like literally, take your friends and shake them. Say, look, get out of them. You say, hey, you've been struggling with this. It's time to wake up. And you say, hey, I'm not just going to leave you there. I'm not just going to leave you behind. I see the mess and the issues. Come on, we can do this together. And then I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. They were so scared. I really want to do that so bad. I was thinking about it all day. Okay, all right, okay. But the reality is those objects by themselves don't fulfill anything. They don't fulfill their purpose. What they need is somebody to be tough with it, somebody to stretch it, somebody to be there to push them forward, to shake them up a little bit and say, hey, I care about you. Stop being this way. So how do you say, well, Ryan, how do I get friends in my life like that? How do I get people that keep me accountable? It just feels like everybody's kind of just surface level. It just feels like it's a like on Instagram, and then we don't really even talk to each other, but we're like best friends on social media. We send each other but it just feels like, how do I get past that surface level? The reality is that you have to do it first. Moses walks up to Aaron. Aaron doesn't walk up to Moses. Moses walks to Aaron and he says, hey, this is what God's telling me to do. Are you game? And Aaron says, let's go. And together they do it. But if Moses would have never gotten the guts, if he would have been disobedient to what God had for him, he would have sat in the sidelines and been like, hey, Aaron, how you doing? Oh, I'm good, man. How are you? All good. Okay. Dude, that's my homie. You haven't even talked. You know, the same friends that you call friends that you're like, oh, that's my best friend, you won't have real conversations with. You won't sit there and like, hey, how are you really doing? Hey, this is what God has called me to do. Are you game? Instead, it's sitting on the sidelines like, hey, yo, see this funny tweet? Hey, see this? Hey, mess with them, and it's over. And you're like, what am I doing? It starts today. It starts tomorrow at school. It starts the next time you see that friend, you say, hey, because I care about you, because I cherish you as a friend, let's do this together. This is what God's calling me to do. Help keep me accountable. And they go, okay, yeah, game. But if that person pulls back and says, I don't know, just take time. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. The reality of it is when Moses probably walked up to Aaron and he said, hey, dude, God's called us to walk into the palace. Are you game? He's probably like, for a second, like, whoa, dude, I got a family. I got kids. Whoa. But eventually, God pulled on Aaron's heart. It's not your responsibility to get them there. It's just your responsibility to take the first steps. To say, hey, I'm going to be a good friend. Last one we see is this, number 3 is be the sidekick. My brother was great at this. And if I truly admit it, I was terrible at this. Being a firstborn and older brother, I constantly lived in the moment of like, I got to be first. I got to win. I got to do it. And my brother modeled this example beautifully. He'd be like, hey, I got you. I'll be the sidekick. I'll be here. I'll be there. See, we see in the story, Aaron was glorified Google Translate. Like if it happened today and Moses needed a translator, he literally could have pulled out his phone. That's what Aaron was. And I'm sure many moments in his time, he goes, why am I waiting on Moses? Dude can't talk. Dude's scared. Dude's a murderer. Why isn't God speaking through me? I could do this on my own. But the reality of it was he took a step back and he said, you know what? Moses, I'm going to serve you faithfully. What do you need? Okay, yeah, let's go. Hey, I know this is humbling to be in second place, but I know this is where God's called me to be. Because of that, Aaron had so many opportunities in his life to be in first place because he first said, I'll be the sidekick. In order for us to be champions together, I need to be a sidekick. In order for us to be conquerors and to set our people free, I need to realize and be humble and not be jealous of what Moses is encountering. See, sometimes in our own lives, we have close friendships that are amazing, that God has orchestrated, that then there's people in your life that you're supposed to be friends with. But what happens is you start to see them become successful, and what happens? Gossip, jealousy. You start to go, I don't know, it's uncomfortable to be like second place to them. And they're always beating me. They're always better than me. Their parents love them more than me. And the next thing you know, your jealousy comes in, and the enemy likes to separate friendships because you're too jealous. Because you're not humble enough to be a sidekick to say, hey, you know what? It's your time to shine. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to cheer you on. And I know that, man, my time's going to come. But we get too caught up in not being a sidekick. Are you willing to be the second role, the backup, the support, the water boy to see others succeed? If you're willing to be supportive when no one is watching, God will glorify you when everyone's watching. Do you get that? Do you, like, just for a moment, like, really understand that? That if you will be willing to be supportive in private and say, hey, I'm praying for you. Nobody else sees it, but I'm not going to be jealous. I'm not going to talk bad about him, even though they're being successful, to make myself feel better. I'm gonna speak positive about him. I'm going to push towards it. And next thing you know, God will give you the opportunity to say, hey, I get a piano to come up and play behind me as I'm about to close. So many times in our lives, we rob ourselves of amazing opportunities because we simply won't be supportive. We won't be the backup. We won't be the water boy for a little bit. You're probably all familiar with the story of like Rudy. Water boy, cleaned up. And man, it looked like years and years and years. He was never going to get to play in the game. And finally, on one of the last games, he gets put in, and he gets to have the platform he always wanted. He would have never gotten it if he didn't serve faithfully with the small things. So my challenge for you tonight is to be that friend. That friend you want, be it first. Be honest, be real. Be willing to shake your friends. One of the most powerful examples of my life in friendship is being brutally honest, I was like a follower. I was the feeder. There's this kid named Joe, and Joe was very that was not Joe. Imagine if that was Joe. I'd be rich today. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. But Joe was an athlete. Joe was cool. Joe had the cool haircut. For some reason, really tight shirts were cool back then. Do y'all remember those, like the Under Armours? He'd wear that like in public with like cargo shorts. Dude, it was sick. It looked cool then, right? Now you'd be like, dude, what are you doing? But right, like I was so like fascinated by Tyler and Tyler and Joe and these two guys. There were two guys in our youth group, and so I would follow them and do whatever. Even if that was being a bully, even if that was being mean, even if that was being disrespectful, I wanted to fit in so bad, I began doing the same things they did. I bought the tight shirt, I bought the cargo shorts, I thought it looked legit. And in reality, it was a waste of time, it was embarrassing. And as we grew up, we were best friends, and so I just didn't really know who else to hang out with, so it was just easy to walk up over to him. It was easy just to hang out with him, even though like he kind of cared about me, and there were some seasons we were friends and not, but the majority of the time he would just use me, and I mean, there was multiple times his mom didn't even trust him to go to the movies alone. And so what he would do is he'd call me up, hadn't talked to me all week, say, hey, dude, you want to go to the movies? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then we would go to the movies just so his mom would trust him. And then he would bring people around that were a bad influence. And next thing you know, he's doing drugs. The next thing you know, he's doing other things. And I was like, man, I got to cut this off. And the entire time, there was this guy named Chris. He'd been in a youth group the entire time. But I labeled and looked at him as the weird kid. Dude wore shorts in the middle of winter, wore flip-flops in the middle of winter, and I was like, that dude's weird and unnatural. I'm confused. So I was like, nah, he's weird. But then this last picture is a picture at his wedding. And right there on the left, I know I don't have a beard. I look like a child. And then in the middle, in the suit, is Chris. And for years and years and years, I was never friends with Chris because I thought, oh, he's weird, and I wanted the approval of somebody else. I was a feeder to somebody else's ego. I wanted to fit in. I thought it was popular. I thought it was cool. And I did things I'm ashamed of. I lied to my parents. I got in trouble in ways that, man, I would have never gotten in trouble for if I simply seeked a better friendship. But I craved being there for somebody. And even if it was just those little bits, and we've all experienced that, we just want to be connected. We want to feel connected to somebody. But I would challenge you, the biggest thing that changed my life was not just looking at what was popular or the cool guy or the person that had it all together, but was to look at the person, man, that was what I thought was weird. It happened to be at a youth group trip. I got stuck in the car with Chris, which I thought was a bad thing. Next thing I knew, we were best friends. We're hanging out all the time. And just a few years ago, I was in his wedding as his best man. It's one of the best weeks of my life because I finally said, you know what? I don't want to hang out with this guy that's pulling me in a direction that's unhealthy. Instead, I'm going to hang out with this guy. You know, Tyler and Joe, they're not flying to visit me here. Chris, through high school, through middle school, through college, he's the one that's visiting me next month. And so you think, oh, well, I'm too young to build friendships like that now, but I promise you, it started in a youth group just like this. And it started out awkward. Dude wore flip-flops in the snow. I was like, you're just insane. But next thing you know, Chris was that guy in my life when I dealt with bad things. When I was struggling, Chris was the one that would shake me and say, hey, no, come on, come this way. And he would be the one that would take my life. And even though I was sitting and being useless, and even though I wasn't truly making an impact, Chris would say, look, this is who you are. I'm going to pull the gold out of you. And in the moment that happened, because of that, my life took a totally different path. So if it can happen for me, it can happen for you. So lastly, as we close, to be a good friend, you got to be tough with people. You have to be real. You have to be supportive. Be okay being the sidekick. But most of all, be honest and be real and look for the unexpected. It's not always who you think. The person that'll change your life, that friend. Because the reality of it is we cannot do it alone. We need team members. We can't do it solo. We'll go so much farther together. So as you all stand to your feet as we begin to close, I want to challenge you today. Our series is Champions. How to be a champion. Tonight, if you didn't hear anything else, this is your number one. How to be a champion in our lesson today is number one, guys, be a good friend. Be a good friend and then trust God to do everything else. God will make you a champion if you simply just say, God, I give you my life, even my friendships, I give it to you. Maybe tonight you felt convicted and you're like, hey, I need to cut off a friendship. Or maybe you need to be the good friend to pull them up. Whatever it may be, just like Chris was for me. The reality of it is there are probably a lot of friendships you need to cut off. And a lot of friendships you need to be real with. Say, hey, let's not just be surface level. How are you really? Let's not just be surface level. Let's do this together. So with every eye bowed and every eye closed, it's time to take it for real. Your friendships, and say, man, I can't do this alone. I need a team member. So God, we thank you. God, I thank you so much that you've blessed me with amazing, amazing people in my life who are amazing friends. God, I thank you that, man, I thought I had the best friends, but you gave me so much better. God, I thank you that I'm not doing it alone, that I've got a team around me that's pushing me, that's shaking me up, Lord, that points me on the right way. And so tonight, God, I ask that you would move in these students' lives, that tonight they'd make the decision to step towards healthy friendships. They would take the steps towards friendships that actually build them up, that don't push them back, that aren't enablers, that aren't feeders, but instead they would take steps towards healthy relationships, and they first would be good friends. So that, man, you can have them teams that are champions. God, I thank you so much for my Michigan friends, for my Texas friends, for the people in my life that will always push me forward. So God, tonight I ask that you would put those people in these students' lives tonight. You give them the bravery to be real with their friends. In your glorious, glorious name, amen, amen, amen.